Sylvia, whose mother had never openly referred to menstruation and had divulged the facts of life so obliquely that for years Sylvia had believed babies were conceived through a painful hospital operation, blushed. Number 5's garden abutted a thistle-filled field in which 2 decrepit donkeys had been pensioned off to see out their latter days. The garden itself was overrun with impenetrable clumps of brambles and rampant nettles, but Mrs. Bird assured Sylvia that it would come back in no time. She indicated an ancient plum tree. "The fruit's all right for stewing, but I wouldn't touch it uncooked. We used to eat them raw as kiddies, and we got a belting when they gave us the runs." She stopped to survey a particularly dense patch of nettles. "That's where my granddad grew rhubarb. He only grew it to spite the rabbits. One thing they won't eat." "I don't suppose you're handy with a gun?" "My grandma made a grand rabbit pie." Sylvia considered mentioning that Peter Rabbit's father had been put in a pie by Mr. McGregor, but thought better of it. "There's no phone, but next door but one will let you use theirs if there's an emergency." Mrs. Bird handed over a bunch of assorted keys, and having established that the rent was to be paid on the 1st of the month, hurried away to collect a grandchild from school. Sylvia's possessions were easily accommodated in the cottage's limited space. A good deal of what looked like discarded furniture had been crammed into the tiny rooms. A lumpy-looking sofa, propped up on a brick where a leg was missing, was covered in a pink chenille bedspread, and 2 chairs upholstered in shiny red chintz dominated the sitting room. An ashtray in the form of a scallop shell bore the legend, "Welcome to Cromer." Sylvia, whose family holidays had been spent on the chilly Norfolk beaches, on the whole found this welcoming. The larger bedroom was mostly taken up by a heavy wooden bedstead, on which reposed a dauntingly high mattress. On the wall opposite the bedhead, a text in coloured Gothic script announced uncertainly, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." There were no bookshelves on which to house Sylvia's principal possessions, and after packing out the windowsills, she stacked as many as she could onto the slanting shelves of the cupboard in the smaller bedroom. The rest of the books had to stay for the time being in the cardboard boxes from Swindon Library, Clive Henderson's parting gift. But for all its apparent inadequacies, her new quarters offered promise. Sylvia's life had hitherto been ordinary, insofar as any life can be called that. Her father held a minor managerial position in a firm based on London's Great West Road that sold soft drinks. Her mother was the daughter of one of the firm's salesmen, which is how the couple had met. Her mother had given up her job as a receptionist with the arrival of Sylvia. There were no other children. Sylvia had never liked to inquire, even inwardly, into the reasons for this, but from the time her father came home from the war, there had been separate bedrooms, which supplied an answer of a sort. Sylvia's school reports were middling. "Sylvia must learn to buckle down to her studies," and "inclined to dream" were typical assessments. Only Miss Jessica Jenkins, the children's librarian at her local library, had a sense that there was more to the girl than met the eye. Long hours spent alone in her bedroom had encouraged in Sylvia the habit of reading, often by torchlight under the bedclothes far into the night. On Saturday mornings, while her father read the papers, and her mother made a martyr of herself over the household chores, Sylvia got in the way of walking down to the library, unescorted. For with the recent perils of German bombs no longer a threat, no other possible dangers to a child were envisaged. Where Miss Jenkins had set aside books she thought the young girl might enjoy. Librarians are not alone in having favourites among their clientele, but a shared love of reading is an especially powerful bond. It was through Jessica Jenkins that Sylvia met those versions of reality, the characters in fiction, who, if not larger than life, can become a shaping influence and an inner